Hello and welcome. My name is Molly Guadiamos, and I'm the World Languages Department Chair at Monte Vista, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about our World Language Program. We offer 4 different languages here at Monte Vista, and we teach all of those languages from levels 1 through AP. We have Chinese, Japanese, French, and Spanish. Many of our 9th grade parents want to know how many years of study are required. The answer is there are some differences. So how many years are required just to graduate from high school? For that, students must complete 10 units 1 year in any 2 of the following areas. World languages could be 1, fine arts, or applied arts. For admission to the university, most 4-year schools require a minimum of 2 years in the same language through level 2 of the language, but they also highly recommend going through level 3 as well. Community colleges do not have a language requirement. Also, in the past, many parents have asked me, well, which language should my child study? And that really depends a great deal on your students' interests. I've seen a lot of parents try to push, oh, you really should study X because it'll be more practical in this way or that way. But if a student is really interested in one particular language, that's the one they should pursue because that's where they are going to, feel that they're learning what they want to learn. So I would first go with your interests. If you're still not sure, I would suggest watching the different videos by the different departments and see if anything that each of the language representatives say sparks some interest in your student. On the question of what level should they sign up for as an incoming 9th grader, most of our students fall into one of 2 categories. If they have not studied language at all, then definitely level 1 is the place for them. Also, if they've had a little bit of tutoring in the language or some bit of language study in elementary school, but not the equivalent of a full year of 2 to 4 times a week, that regular exposure to the language and language practice. Or if they took level 1 in middle school, but really had a rough time, this would be a great time to reinforce their language skills, starting at level 1, and there's really no penalty at all because going forward on your transcript, you would just show that they started out in level 1 in high school, which is perfectly normal. If your student has completed a full year in middle school and did well in that, they should be prepared to start off in level 2. They can go ahead and sign up for level 2 for Spanish, French, and Japanese. There is no placement test. They will just be directly assigned to level 2, or you should sign up for level 2 directly if they have taken that year in middle school. We do recognize this year that the middle schools may not be teaching as much or have been able to cover as much material as they have in the past for this particular year in distance learning. We ask you not to be concerned about that. If they're doing well, they should be prepared. The same has been going on at Monte Vista, that this year in our Spanish 1 class, they have not been able to cover as much as they normally would have in-person instruction because we're not meeting as frequently and with the challenges of distance learning. So still, if they have completed an entire year in middle school, even if it was in distance learning, they should be prepared for level 2 here. For heritage speakers, that means if one of the languages is spoken at home, one of the languages we teach, either Chinese, French, Japanese, or Spanish, is spoken somewhat at home, and they've had some exposure to the language, but you're not certain what level would be appropriate. It's a little bit different with regard to the language. If they know some Chinese, either it's spoken at home or they've attended Chinese school for a number of years, they should be prepared to take the Chinese diagnostic test. The way to get enrolled for the test is that any incoming ninth grader who signs up for level 2 or above, you can just estimate what level you think they might fit into. If they sign up for level 2 or above, they will receive an invitation to take the Chinese diagnostic test with information on the date and time. This test is usually held in late March or early April. Then when they receive the results of that assessment, they will be placed in the appropriate level of Chinese based on the results of that diagnostic test. For French, Japanese, or Spanish, we have very few native speakers of those languages that come in to see us. So we don't have a formal diagnostic test. What we have is we have a language representative from each language that will speak to your student, perhaps ask them to do some writing, to see what level would be appropriate for them. Please contact the person that is in charge of the language. The email addresses are listed on the screen. For French, it's Sarah Fink. For Japanese, it's Keiko Howard. And for Spanish, it is me, Molly Williamos. All of the email addresses are listed here. Most parents want to know what the normal course sequence is. So the normal sequence, the student has not studied a language formally before. They would start off in level 1 in ninth grade, continue on to 10th grade. And if they are desiring more advanced study, to go through 11th grade in level 3 and finish off in 12th grade with level 4 honors. If they have started off and done well in level 1 in middle school, they can begin ninth grade in level 2, and 10th grade, they would move on to level 3, 11th grade would be level 4 honors, and 12th grade would be level 5 AP. What they will learn in each of those levels does vary quite a bit from language to language. Japanese and Chinese have to spend a lot more time learning the written system. So in the first and second years, and learning a different additional character, so they might not advance through the same grammatical sequences. But essentially, in the first year, students learn to talk about things in the classroom, their day-to-day lives, their likes, their dislikes, activities, be able to describe their families, but mostly their speech is a few sentences at a time, very simple, basic questions and greetings. In the second year, they would review and advance on from there, and they'd also generally be able to talk about things that have happened in the past, learn vocabulary related to health, personal care, the job market. They may learn in different languages the related cultural elements, but they're still reading perhaps short paragraphs, looking at infographics, not doing in-depth reading or lengthy speaking yet. By level 3, they become a little more adept at short conversations. They learn more complex language structures, being able to talk about how some people affect the other, how their feelings are affected by the actions of others, and so on. And they are able to write in paragraphs, give a brief presentations. By level 4 is where they're really beginning to approach materials that were written for native speakers of the language, like read articles in the newspapers of the language they're learning. They begin to look at literature. They're able to watch videos in the language. They do still need some support in understanding, especially the video spoken at full pace, and they may begin to feel comfortable to initiate conversations with the native speaker of the language. By the 5th year, they are really able to get into more depth on native language materials, magazine articles, books, and watch the news in the language. And they are also preparing for the AP language test, which will give them college credit for their language studies. We often get questions about, well, should my student take a year of the language over the summer and then advance to the next level at Monte Vista? We discourage this for some very good reasons. First of all, summer programs are generally directed to students who have already taken the language for a year and struggled in that level. Let's say a student took Spanish 1 and really had difficulty and didn't feel prepared for Spanish 2. That summer school level of Spanish 1 would kind of quickly review the concepts, hopefully to strengthen them so that the student is able to move on. The students do not get enough language practice in summer school to replace an entire year of studying the language and practicing on a daily basis with the teacher and with classmates. It is just not meant as a substitute for a full year of the language. So we do not recommend that they take a language in order to advance over the summer. Again, it would just be to reinforce if they felt like they didn't do it well. But honestly, summers should be spent pursuing other interests, not just the academics. And we want them to arrive in the fall energized and ready to learn. And they really don't need any additional study over the summer. If you have any questions about the language department in general, or anything that wasn't answered in my presentations or that is not answered, you can also look to the specific language presentations by our other teachers. You can please email me at molly_guadiamos@fuhsd.org. And I will either answer your question or direct you to someone who can give you that information. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to meeting you at a back to school night next year.